and welcome back to the wild, or the Yarra Ranges specifically. It's been a while since one of these, and been a while since I've been back out here, so man, it's good to be back. Got up early this morning and headed out east, out past Hillsville here up to the Black Spur, and it's a place I've been to a few times before. It's kind of like my go-to spot when we're first out of lockdown, which has happened a few times these last 2 years, but man, it's so nice to be back here. I'm out exploring an old fire trail again, clip-clopping in my gumboots here, if that's the noise that you can hear in the background. It's just after sunrise, so we've kind of got that golden light coming through the forest at the moment, just lighting up the ferns and mountain ash trees up here. And just a couple of nights ago, we had some howling winds rip through Victoria, pulling down trees and lots of power outages across. So on this track out here, there's a lot of fallen trunks just sort of strewn across, snapped. These are kind of, I don't know, 50, 80 meters tall. They're massive. So when they come down, they just snap and crack just like kindling. It's crazy. So yeah, just keep an eye out. It's not windy today, so pretty safe out here at the moment. All the ones that would have fallen by now in the wind, hopefully. So only the strongest survive now, so we should be fine this morning. So just coming out to have a bit of an explore. I've got my telephoto lens, a 100 to 400, try to find some sort of detail shots in the forest, maybe some nice trunks or tree ferns. I've also packed the 24 to 70 to go a little bit wider if there's some nice sort of foreground leading up to those tree trunks as well. So I'm going to have a bit of explore out in this forest trail. It's a nice crisp spring morning. I was hoping for a little bit of fog. We've had a bit of moisture recently, but the fog didn't quite form. So instead, I'm going to try to go for that golden light coming through the forest. So keep on exploring, jump over these fallen trunks where I can, and see what we can find. Well, I found my first shot for the day, just down in the gully here. Got my telephoto lens zoomed in on this sort of nice, I don't know what tree it is. I used to think it was a beech tree, but it's not. So if you've got any idea what tree that is, let me know. And there's all these ferns, and because it's spring, there's all these sort of fresh fronds, this new growth coming out of the sort of the fern canopy there. So just got it set to about 150 mil. So not super telephoto, but just enough to get down in the gully and just focus on that tree. And even though it's relatively clear skies, the sun still hasn't really risen above the sort of the hill or tree line here. So it's kind of that nice, soft, diffused light sort of coming in down through the gully. So I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of shots of this. And if it turns out right, I'll show you now. Two things about being back out in nature that you kind of forget or just overlook being in lockdown that you really need to be back out here to experience again. One are the bird noises. It's just a chorus out here this morning. There's kookaburras and magpies and cockatoos, and I don't know, it's just all around. You probably heard little snippets in some of those B-roll shots, and even as I'm talking now, there's kind of just all around me. So it's really nice just to sort of just be in nature, experiencing that again. And the second is just the air and the freshness up here. It's so different to being in the suburbs in the city. You just got that rich sort of earthy air and crisp morning breeze coming through. It's really quite the whole experience, and I don't get too poetic about it at all, but man, it's just nice to be back in the wild here, back in nature, taking photos, wandering down old fire trails. So I'll keep on exploring. I'm about to hit up a new gully, cross a little creek, and then up on the other hillside on the other side and see what we can find. And I've just set up for another shot here using, once again, the telephoto. And hopefully you can see there's a tree trunk sort of lit up behind me. The sun's kind of diffused through the trees with little hot patches on the trunk. And you've got that kind of that shedding bark, so that really rich orange browns, sort of contrasted against like the white greys of the main tree trunk. So I've just got it set up here. I'm not quite sure the exact composition that's going to work best. Before I just set up for one that showed the sort of the tree trunk and had sort of the background sort of blurred and out of focus to give a bit of context to the scene. And now I've just gone in right to 400mm, nice and close on the trunk itself, eliminating those sort of sides from the tree. So it's just the tree trunk just fills the entire frame. Now, I'm not sure which is going to work best in terms of those two compositions. But as I mentioned before, is once you're out here on location, it's so easy just to get a bunch of shots. So get the shots, get the frames, get some different angles, go a bit closer, go a bit further, and just get that variety while you're here. And when you're back later in Lightroom, flicking through the photos, you can easily select your favorite one and edit and share that. So yeah, just make the most of it while you're out here and get the shots. Well, speaking of getting the shot while you're here, I've literally moved, I think, about 5 meters just up the track here. And behind me, I think I found my favorite shot of the morning. It's a nice landscape shot looking up into the forest. Normally when I'm doing these forest photos, I want to try to get like a high vantage point. So looking down into the gully or the hillsides, you don't get that white sky behind it. But I think this actually kind of works. And as you can see, the sun's coming in and out on this side of the frame. And I've just set up here once again, the telephoto lens, gone for a landscape shot across the hillside. There's this one tree fern sort of poking up above, catching that sunlight in between these sort of cloudy patches here. So I've taken a few shots. I don't know if I need to exposure break it because it's quite bright behind the scene with that sort of that blue sky behind. But once I said, I don't mind that. I think that might add a nice sort of glow to the scene. So yeah, quite happy with this one, and fingers crossed it turns out all right. Well, that just about wraps things up out here at the Yarra Ranges. It's been really nice just out exploring and bush bashing to get little angles and new scenes, and yeah, just discovering and creating again, which is I think something we've all missed these last couple of months. And at the end there, I found a nice Myrtle Beach sort of gully, sort of in the sort of ravine where a creek was running down. There were these Myrtle Beach sort of up on the banks, and I think they're my favorite tree to photograph. So these gnarled textures, nice sort of characteristics in the arms, if you can call it that. And they've also got this nice sort of moss and fern growing on the actual bark sometimes. So yeah, quite a photogenic tree. So glad to have sort of found that patch at the end of the trip up here. So if those shots turned out all right, I'll show you at the end of this. But if you watched until this long, thanks for stopping by. And until next time, take care.